Guys, you are looking live. It's the Florida Gambling Boys. In the background, it's the Seabreeze Lounge, as always. Florida Gambling Boys on YouTube. It's the Football Frenzy Show. Big weekend. Big weekend. It's the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. 4 huge matchups Saturday, Sunday. And we'll cap the weekend off with the national championship game in college football. I'm your host, the magnificent one, Sean Mayall, as always joined to my right by the one they call Super Dave Kreitz.
He does exist.
He does exist.
He does exist.
We're empty on this side tonight. Tom can't join us, but he's here in spirit.
And stress.
And stress, yeah. A lot going on to talk about, so let's jump into it. We're going to start with the NFL divisional round. Our first game on Saturday, 4:30. It's the Texans at Kansas City. And would there be an NFL playoffs if Houston didn't play in every 4:30 game?
Possibly.
Every game. It's the worst game. Put the Texans in. That's what they do every year. But either way, the Texans are an 8.5-point dog on the road at Kansas City. And I think, as you mentioned before the show, the total's 41.
I have it at 41.5 as the latest line.
41.5. Very low total. But it depends which way you look at this game. Dave, I'll let you start with your thoughts on this game.
Well, I think the total is low. It's going to be cold in Kansas City, much like it's cold across the United States, unless you're in California.
Yep. And God, not for nothing,
I'm not making a joke about it.
No, we do keep the people in Southern California in our prayers, and what an unbelievable tragedy. So we'll always keep them in our hearts. But the football week does go on. I did not mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to.
My thoughts on this is it's cold. It's Kansas City and Houston's dome team. Now, what Houston showed me last week, if you watched, I was all over the Chargers are just going to smoke them, and I was
with you.
Dead wrong. Dead wrong.
I capped that game wrong. I put it all on Harbaugh, and Herbert was awful.
That's just, if we're going to get down to Herbert, that's just Herbert can't get into that upper echelon. He's a game manager at this point. He's a good game manager, but he's not a true elite, take you to the next level. Maybe it's a little bit of new coaching and new style and new game plan and new this.
Just no skill talent.
Herbert had 3 interceptions all season. He threw 4 last week.
You want to hear a crazy stat? Ladd McConkey, I think, had 9 catches for 197 yards.
And his rookie appearance in a playoff game.
The next leading receiver on the Chargers had 2 catches for like 36 yards.
Yeah, but he also fell behind, I believe it was Larry Fitzgerald and, I can't think of it, but he's like 3rd or 4th in initial playoff game receiving yards. Ladd McConkey had a game.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But then in the meantime, Herbert throws 4 picks, and Houston returned it for 108 yards. He completed more passes for more yardage
to Houston
than he did to any other receiver beside McConkey. I just found that very interesting. But go on. I'm sorry.
Where I'm going with this is it's obvious. We know Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid, the Kansas City Chiefs, their playoff record, their Super Bowl record, their appearances, everything they do, you don't bet against them.
I agree.
Where I'm going to go with this is it time? Is it time? Has the luck run out? Is having the extra week and the extra week made them rusty? That Houston defense showed me last week that they have taken the pill. They have been slighted. They are coming to play. I still don't bet against Kansas City.
Nope.
Money line.
Yep.
But with an 8.5 point spread, Kansas City hasn't covered a 7.5-point spread 6 times every time they've had it this season. So it's going to be a close game. It's going to be cold. Joe Mixon played in Cincinnati. He's cut his teeth in the cold.
He's a huge factor.
He's played that game.
He had a monster game last week.
Joe Mixon, a Houston defense ground game. I'm going to take that Houston covers it, and I'm going to go with the under. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but I'll take a Houston cover with a large spread like that just because of the cold, the Mixon factor, and so on. On top of that, a little bonus bet I'm going to throw in there for a prop. Dalton Schultz is over 37.5 yards receiving.
He's a security blanket.
It's going to take, with Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs being done to season-ending injuries, Dalton Schultz is going to get looks, especially if Kansas City does go up, or even if Houston wants to make it a game.
Because right now all you have is Nico Collins. I'm guessing that Robert Woods will be your number 2.
Yep.
They just released Deontay Johnson. Amazingly, Deontay Johnson's been with 4 franchises this year. Pittsburgh to start the year before the season, trade him to Carolina, gets cut by Carolina.
Yep.
Baltimore cuts him after 2 weeks, goes to Houston, and they cut him in the middle of a playoff run. That's crazy. Should have shut his mouth, taken his money in Pittsburgh. But I think that's a good play on the prop with Dalton Schultz. I really do.
I'm going to prop Dalton Schultz, and like I said, Houston covers. And just take the under. It's going to be cold. It's going to be ugly.
So I have to do my homework. I capped this game at 24-10 Chiefs. Having said that, I'm going to be very heavy this weekend on money line and teasers. Some people like teasers, some people don't. I'm not a huge parlay guy, but for the right money line parlay, yeah, I'll take it. I might have a big play. Actually, I'm going to have a big play, probably a 5-unit play with Kansas City and Detroit. But we'll get into our best bets later on. I just have no faith in Houston to go on the road and keep this close. I agree with you. It's an underplay. And I think Kansas City does what they've done all year. They control the clock. To quote Hank Stram, matriculate the ball down the field. I like Kansas City here. I really do.
I do too, but that's the matriculation and it being cold that I'm just like.
Yeah, Kansas City's used to the cold.
It's not close, but garbage time plays a factor.
Could we see a backdoor cover?
That's what
scares me.
Yeah, that's why I'm going with just. I'll take Houston and take the. I want to bang my chest and just be like, Houston's going to shock the world, but I've not been shown that.
So we are both agreement on the Chiefs here.
Yeah.
We're not laying the points, but we both like them in other bets, and we'll talk about that later in the show. Let's move to the 8 o'clock game. I don't know, Dave, you might be interested in this game. Oh, look at the jersey you have on. Oh, hey, here we go. It's the Lions at home against the upstart Washington Commanders. Commanders shocked the world. The only dog to go out and cover in Wild Card Weekend and win outright, as they still won here in Tampa on the doink off the uprights to win it.
The doink in as opposed to the doink out.
Correct.
We saw with
Zane Gonzalez, the pride and joy of Arizona State University. Detroit's laying 8.5 here.
I have them at 9.5. Laying 9.5.
I looked about an hour ago on Hard Rock Bet, and they were still 8.5. The total sat at 55.5.
I have that total at
Big total. And we saw a total like this 2 weeks ago against the Vikings, where that total spiked to 56.
That was thinking the Vikings could actually.
And we find
Not
out
see ghosts.
Minnesota's a fraud. Or Sam Donald's a fraud. So, Dave, I'll let you spout about your Lions here. What do you think?
I think a lot. About this. I wanted to be quiet about it And then I saw all the videos of all the Washington fans that all chanted in Tampa Bay that we want Detroit, we want Detroit.
Well, now you got him.
You got them. And you're coming into a house. I'm sorry, you're coming into the den.
The Lions Den. See what you did there, little play on words.
That is also correct. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I heard earlier that the most expensive tickets currently are to get into this game, which just tells me there's so much heart and there's so much soul going into Motown for this game. It is going to be the loudest venue.
I think this means a lot to the fan base, too.
1,000,000,000%. But it's last year, a close family member of mine said that they went to the Rams game, the Rams playoff game, and it was the loudest event they've ever been to. They're going to step it up. I'm not discounting Jaden Daniels. I'm not discounting anything the Commanders have to do other than their rush defense is 30th. David Montgomery's coming back. Jahmyr Gibbs, Sonic and Knuckles, the duo's coming back together. You're just going to have a handful of Dan Campbell had an extra week to get ready to kick your ass. And he is going to bring the pain.
Yes.
On this game.
Go ahead.
On this game, my prop bet, Jared Goff is 0.5 interceptions. He did throw one last week. He has not thrown interceptions in back-to-back games since weeks 2 and 3.
Not last week, 2 weeks ago. They were off last week.
Well, since the last game.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yes, since his last game. So I've got a prop play on Goff not throwing an interception in this game, and that's at minus 135. So just go ahead and throw some cash out there and make that an easy one, because he's not going to have to throw when he's able to run.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you.
Now,
are you laying the 8.5?
Oh yeah. Dan Campbell doesn't know how to not stop 4th and 1 within something. I'm taking the over. Dan Campbell he just wants to watch everybody burn underneath him. And they've always asked why. And it's because he called it the pucker factor in an interview.
I did hear
I
that.
wanted zero pucker in my players.
Okay.
Now, does he tailor it back just to get out of Dodge? If it gets a little hinky, sure, but I don't know. I think the energy it's too high. Washington, young quarterback, not necessarily a young coach, new coach, Bobby Wagner. We'll see how it works out, but I think Detroit's just ready to
Take the next step.
And everybody wants to say, well, why are you guys running the score up? You don't want us to run the score up? Stop us.
Stop us, yeah. I agree with that. Here's what I'll say about this, Dave. I think what you brought up about the Jared Goff prop is an interesting one, because, look, if Jared Goff, it's clean, there's no chance that Washington wins this game, okay? Washington's going to have to force turnovers and take advantage of short fields. Having said that, Jaden Daniels has been a great story this year. Number 2 pick in the draft, take him to the playoffs, wins a game. I don't see any way in hell they go into Detroit this weekend and win this game. So
I'm not saying I don't see it. I want to humble myself. There's a lot for us to prove. That's why my only play is this prop bet.
I would lean to laying the points here.
In my heart of hearts, I have just this Dan Campbell has ignited this fire.
I think it's going to be a raucous atmosphere at Ford Field. Obviously, weather won't be a factor. Detroit, as maligned as their defense was the last 5-6 weeks of the season, they balled out against the Vikings, and they beat that holy hell out of the Vikings and punched them in the mouth.
And an extra week to do it.
And now they've got a bye week and yada yada. So I would lean towards laying it. and laying the 8.5. I don't have a play on a total because I don't know if the Reds or Commanders.
Football team.
Yeah. I don't think they may not score more than 17, 20 points, and that means the Lions got to put up 37. Now, can the Lions put up 37? Absolutely. But if it's a blowout in the fourth quarter, maybe they take their foot off the gas and play ball control and just.
Don't take the foot off the gas.
Well, we'll see.
I will say what I do want to look at is Craig Reynolds, Khalif Raymond. If there's a prop bet on that third string running back, Monty's back. I think Monty
might get some touches.
Monty will get a couple touches, but I think it's going to be keep Gibbsy ready for next week.
Okay.
Again,
well,
I'm not trying to look ahead. I'm not discounting this Washington team, but with a 31st ranked rush defense.
That's a huge thing, and then when you can't
that
stop the run, then the play action's wide open. And
Amon-Ra and
your big tight end over the middle, Sam Laporte.
Oh, Laporta.
He's going to have a big game. So I'm going to sprinkle a little something on the Lions, minus 8.5. But I am big on Lions Lions minus 2.5 and teasers.
You might make some money on Penei Sewell scoring an anytime touchdown. Just with the way Ben Johnson goes. Penei Sewell, anytime touchdown. Just take a look at it. He likes those
And they
plays.
win, and they win comfortably. This is going to shoot Ben Johnson's coaching stock through the roof. I don't see how he stays or whatnot. But,
well, we'll get to that.
Well, we will. Well, while we're talking about that, Dave, does Ben Johnson get a job? We have, 8 or 9 openings coaching-wise? With what happened during the regular season and now after the season ends. Does Ben Johnson get a job? I firmly believe he's coaching somewhere.
As a head coach, 100%. I've had this conversation over and over. I've come to terms with it.
And he's earned it.
So is Aaron Glenn.
And that's another one I think gets a job.
Now, we'll go into this a little further down the road. Ben Johnson was set last year to get a job. Turned him down.
I know.
To dial it back. Ben Johnson this year has shown even more.
Yeah, I don't see how he turns it down. This is his chance.
That bag has gotten fatter, and he's young.
This is your chance to be one of only 32 guys in the world that has one of these jobs.
100%. Aaron Glenn, he's had that job. He's played in the NFL. He's earned that generational money. So if we come up just a little short, I can see Aaron Glenn saying, I can stick around, especially with all these injured defensive players coming back for next year. I can be the DC for this. Aiden Hutchinson's.
I can see the Saints throwing a lot of money at Aaron Glenn. I really can.
They can, but he may or may not. I'm not saying he won't walk away. I'm not saying that at all. Ben Johnson.
There's no way Johnson stays.
When they offer him the $12 million a year, he's good. Take it. I hate to see it go. I love to watch you leave, but
he's earned it.
Don't go to Dallas. Don't go to the Jets. Don't go to these teams that are just going to thumb down on top of you. If there is a bet somewhere in this world, and I don't know that, my money is Ben Johnson will go to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Well, I think the Raiders want an offensive mind.
Especially with Tom Brady as a minority owner.
Yeah.
And who better than Ben taking that whole bag of tricks to Tom, the GOAT, and saying, what can I learn from you that you can learn from me?
Yeah.
And how can we create something here in Vegas? That's where Ben's going to go.
You brought up Dallas. Mike McCarthy out probably about 3 years too late. But, okay, Jerry was loyal.
Jerry was loyal.
Now McCarthy,
Jerry doesn't know any better.
Look, Caleb Williams has already come out in Chicago saying, oh, what do you want in your next coach? He goes, I want somebody with a creative offensive mind. Is that Mike McCarthy?
Sure.
I don't think so. I don't think he's the answer.
I think he is.
I want a Ben Johnson. I want somebody like the sorts.
I want Ben Johnson, but at the same time, I don't think what Chicago has to offer Ben Johnson compared to, this is where I say the Brady factor is what swings Ben into Vegas. And McCarthy.
The Brady factor's nice, but do you really want to play for Mark Davis, who's half a crackpot like his old man was?
That's the other side of the Brady factor.
I know.
Brady's going to keep Mark Davis in. Brady is the buffer. Brady will.
Well, all I know is we're not going to have to listen to Tom Brady in the booth anymore next year, because he's out and he's taking a full-time job with the Raiders as vice president of football operations.
And the other side, if I'm Mike McCarthy, I can move to Chicago. Now, my question to you is, how much of McCarthy's success or non-success is Jerry Jones and or Aaron Rodgers being a pain in the ass?
I think it's there's a lot you have to put on that.
I think McCarthy's
I would rather bring back,
coach.
if I'm Dallas, and it ain't going to be Deion Sanders, because if Jerry Jones does that, he's a bigger fool than I ever thought he was. Why wouldn't Dallas go back and bring back Kellen Moore from Philadelphia?
Kellen Moore doesn't want to come back. He's seen the circus.
Yeah, but if you're going to be a head coach and you get control and power, that's a different story.
You don't get control and power because Jerry Jones is on the record saying, I bought this team, I bought myself a job. I will not relinquish the general manager responsibilities to anybody.
Well,
So
Parcells got full control in Dallas.
for 3 years until Parcells said,
It's not worth it. Not worth it.
I brought you Tony Romo. I brought you to the playoffs. I made a team out of absolutely nothing.
But at 82 years old, how much does Jerry bring to the? I mean, I know he's letting his kid do more now.
Crockpot, but that's why.
Okay, so I'll move on so we can get to the Sunday games. Mike Vrabel in New England, good hire, bad hire?
Love it. Absolutely love it.
I think for the Patriots, a good hire. I think if I'm Mike Vrabel, I'm holding out for a better job. You got two good players in that team. You got Christian Gonzalez at corner, and you got Drake May at quarterback.
But Vrabel,
They need to have the draft of their life.
But Vrabel can come in and he'll have carte blanche. Kraft will give him carte blanche being a Ring of Honor member. What a lot of people don't understand is Gerard Mayo's last contract as DC there was a stipulation that he would become Belichick's successor. So they brought Mayo up.
Yeah, and he was a lame duck from he had no chance.
But it was also to cover any of the existential money that we had going out.
The only way I like this is because now, after Belichick, you never want to be the guy to replace the guy. You want to be the guy that replaces the guy to replace the guy.
Yeah.
And that's what Vrabel is. Here's my thing about Vrabel. In all of his years in Tennessee with Derrick Henry, questionable quarterback play, he went to one AFC final with Tannehill and got blown out. Never got to a Super Bowl. Never won a Super Bowl. A couple division titles. I mean, was he that great a coach? I know guys like playing for him, and he's a motivator.
Better than Mayo.
Yes, but is he that much better? Does he bring like this amazing resume? I question what all this love for Vrabel is. I like the guy. I honestly thought he may have gone, if Ryan Day had gotten fired at Ohio State, he might go take that job. But I don't think that's going to happen now that Ohio State's in the national championship. But I don't know. I'm not all geeked about Vrabel going to Eagle.
I'm not geeked about him as like the next best head coach. I like his style. He knows the Patriot way.
Yeah.
He knows the team. He knows the division.
All right, so last one I'll ask you. And when I drop down on my knees at night and I say my prayers to God before I go to bed, I'm praying for this one. After 18 years of his bullshit, I've had enough of Mike Tomlin. I think the locker room's tuned him out. I think the players have tuned him out. He brings no creativity. This guy's supposed to be a defensive mind, and their defense was trash the last 5-6 weeks of the year. Mike Tomlin, in or out of Pittsburgh? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I don't see how you kick him out, considering you don't fire coaches, because that's the third coach you've had since Chuck Noll, or I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
Noel, Cower, and Tomlin.
yeah. Do you fire him, or is it he's just been so consistent you haven't been able to repair and rebuild?
Congratulations on being 10-8 and another first-round loss. You haven't won a playoff game since what, 16, maybe 7? I think it was 16.
Yeah.
And this status quo crap sucks. Go out and get a quarterback, like you said earlier. If you
But
got to
you
trade up, trade up. It's not a great draft class, but
That's what I was going to ask. Is this is where you need to trade up and get a quarterback? But do you go get the quarterback when you're? What does Pittsburgh have that is elite? Outside of
T.J. Watt.
Literally, I was going to say, well, just in terms of,
Minka Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt.
so you have two players, but you don't have an elite secondary. You don't have an elite defensive line. You have-
Joey Porter's well, I shouldn't say that. Take that back. Cam Hayward, even at 36, is still an
Not
all-pro.
elite. Sure. Not elite. You don't have an elite offensive line. You don't
No.
have elite running backs. You don't have elite wide
No.
receiver talent. You don't have an elite
We
quarterback.
have no wide receiver
You
talent.
have
We
a
no
lot
quarterback.
of average.
We have a Pro Bowl kicker.
The best thing you have is probably edge outside linebackers. That's the
Yeah,
best
Watt and
group you
Watt and
have.
Highsmith, Minka, and Joey Porter Jr. is going to be a good corner.
Going to be, but doesn't have things to.
And you've got the best kicker in football this year. Boswell only missed 2 field goals. Made
let's
41.
Go, no, Master Bates is the best.
No.
Jake Bates is the story of kickers.
Look,
Might not be the best. but
Boswell
he is
kicks
the
in one of the toughest stadiums to kick in Pittsburgh with the swirling winds coming off the river. And he's just a master of it in Pittsburgh. I mean, it's like 10 years,
I don't
11
think
years
it's-
for him.
But I don't think it's Tomlin. I think it's we don't trade players, we don't sign free agents, has come to bite you in the ass. for
Well,
the
they
past
signed
decade.
Patrick Queen last year. What a great signing, and they got him cheap.
That was easy because he was cut. You sign free agents, you don't mortgage your future. But
Can I
where's
tell
your
you
offensive
something that's
line
going to be a very controversial stand with football fans? As a Steeler fan, I'm trading T.J. Watt.
100%.
I'm going to get max value for him and still in the prime of his career, relatively injury-free this year. You tell me I couldn't get a first and a third for T.J. Watt?
100%.
I'm doing it in a
yeah.
heartbeat.
Now, if I'm trading T.J. Watt, I'm trading Minka Fitzpatrick. I'm selling.
I agree.
I'm selling the farm. If you're on this, we're going to fire Tomlin. Who are you replacing him with? Deion
Well,
Sanders?
no, that ain't happening.
Okay. Lincoln Riley?
No, I don't want him.
But if
I'd bring Aaron Glenn in a heartbeat.
you bring in Aaron Glenn,
I would.
tell him to sell the farm.
Get some draft picks, start over. That's the highest paid defense in football.
It's a great
In all of football. And just underperform, melt down the stretch, and get blown out in the playoffs. That's what they do.
I don't blame it on your defense as much as I blame it on your quarterback, offensive line.
I blame the front office.
Najee Harris. I mean, there's a lot of fingers you can.
I don't want
a lot of
Najee Harris
different
back next year.
ways.
I can go get
Yes.
a running back in the draft or pick somebody off the scrap heap that can produce as well as Najee did.
So it's time to just.
So
tank.
I'd love to see Tomlin go. You say he stays.
I'd love to
Maybe
see-
it's Omar Khan that needs to go in the front office as the GM.
Yes, I was gonna say I have no problem with Tomlin. He has all the right answers, and I've watched him make.
I hear you. Maybe it's just frustration as a Steelers fan. but-
Yeah.
All right, on to Sunday. Guys, as always, we're at Seabreeze Lounge. If you're in Palm Harbor, Florida, come check it out. Great food, great drinks, drink specials, great staff behind the bar. Thanks to Terry and Karen for letting us record here. Also, if you're on the channel and you're watching, subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a penny, but it helps us grow our channel. We've grown a lot over the past few months, so I'm very thankful to everybody out there that is watching. But, hit the like button. You want to throw a comment in there? Throw a comment. Before or after the show, we'll answer it. Let's go to Sunday. 3 o'clock. The Rams travel out of just a horrible situation out there in L.A. coming off the win in basically a road game in Arizona at Philadelphia. Dome team going to the cold weather. Eagles -6, 45.5 on the total?
Well, I got it 44.5, but
Somewhere in there. Okay.
around that.
All right. It's a tough game to cap. I know what it should be. I'll let you give your thoughts.
Well, let's see here. I've got the Rams at 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games. And the Rams have also hit the under 4-1.
Their defense has come out of nowhere in the last 5-6 weeks.
Well, it didn't hurt that Sam Darnold. I don't know what Sam Darnold was seeing for 9 sacks last week, because it was more than ghosts. He was having an epiphany of some sort.
But they're getting big pressure now. They're facing a different breed of offensive line than the Eagles this week.
Oh, 100%. They're facing a different breed of team.
Lane Johnson and Mailata and all these guys. I mean,
And Saquon Barkley
Yep.
and a different style of quarterback. Yeah.
Jalen Hurts did not impress me last week.
No, but Jalen Hurts doesn't have to impress me because Philly can play defense on the other side of the ball.
If Jordan Lovett had a halfway decent game and stopped throwing the ball high all day, and again, he lost targets throughout the game, I get it. But Green Bay could have easily stayed within the number or won it outright. But Eagles win, they advance.
Yep.
That's all it is about this time of year.
The Eagles win.
So,
now, Philly has won 8 straight home games.
yes.
Keep that in mind. Where I was going with the under, the Rams are 4-1 with the under. Philly's 5-2 with the under in their last 7 games. So I'm definitely on the under in a sloppy whatever Philadelphia.
Could be snow on Sunday
Who knows what it
that
is?
they're calling for. There will be precipitation. They're thinking there's going to be snow flurries and whatnot. It's not an easy condition for a dome team to come out and play with.
Now let's go defenses. The Rams defense is 19th nationally on the regular season. Net yards per play, 15th. EPA per play,
I hear
and
you.
23rd in opponent's EPA per play. Philadelphia's defense is 4th, 6th, and 3rd in all of those. Philly's going to cover these Rams.
Okay,
The
so I agree with
storybook
what you're saying about the
everything
numbers,
that's
Dave.
going on.
I can't. Numbers don't lie. We know that.
Okay.
What does losing Nakobe Dean, your captain and middle linebacker, calls the signals? Now you're going to a backup. I think that's a massive loss for the Eagles.
Huge.
And what impressed me, if you watch Stafford, look, Stafford's not fleet of foot, not what you would call a mobile
Not-
quarterback.
Well, no, he used to be slidey, slippery.
Well, now he's
6
what,
years ago.
35, going on 36.
Yeah. He's still a gamer.
He is, but if you watched him last week, all of his on Monday night, all of his throws were quick. Boom, less than 3 seconds. Boom, get the ball out. Boom, get the ball. And he hits Nakua. Nakua and Kupp know how to run the perfect routes, and they always get open. I got no knocks against the Eagles
In a
secondary.
dome.
Well, yeah, look, that's true. I agree with you. But Stafford's not going to let that Eagles defense beat him up.
Stafford's not going to have the time. I got one more stat.
Go ahead, throw it.
The last time they met,
Eagles went to the dome and thumped them.
there was a man, MVP candidate named Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, he had a monster
had
game.
255 yards
Yeah.
against him. Saquon can single-handedly, not necessarily solidify MVP, but he can re-raise the stakes as to why.
Yeah.
And in the cold weather, which Saquon has lived his life in, Stafford played for Detroit. He was fantastic, but you know what Detroit
In a
plays
dome.
in? A dome. Stafford's coming out of the dome,
All the
dome
way
to come
east,
play
yeah.
all the way east.
On a short week? So your play is?
Philly.
And any plan on the total?
44.5. I think I'm going to go the under because I think it's going to be a whole lot of Saquon, whole lot of just sloppy weather's coming into play here. I think there's a lot of sloppy weather in all of these outdoor games, especially Buffalo, which we'll get to, Kansas City, Philly. The only reason weather's not a factor in Detroit is because they're in a dome.
All right, so you're on the birds and the under.
Birds in the under.
So I'm with you on Philly. Again, I'm not going heavy on any lines this week. I will, like Detroit, sprinkle a little on the Eagles on the line. But I'm big on the money line. I'm going to wheel it in parlays, and I'm going to wheel it in teasers. I just don't see how the Rams go in and win outright. So if I can buy it down, maybe I take the Eagles down to even and take the total up to 50 and go under. All sorts of combinations. Sunday late game, 6:30. Buffalo is at home. They are getting their only home dog of the weekend, getting 1.5 against Baltimore, who looked good last Saturday night, kicked the crap out of my Steelers. Buffalo handled business, a very workmanlike 31-7 win over the Broncos.
It was scary early, and then it just got out of hand.
Yeah, Denver goes right down the field, and all of a sudden you're down 7-0. But you know what? Josh Allen has such a control of this team. Not a lot of skill players, but James Cook has been a find at running back. I think Dawson Knox and Kincaid are good tight ends. You still have Amari Cooper and
still can't find him throwing it through the air. Keon Coleman.
Yeah. They had the other kid, Shakir, there at wide receiver, who's ultra talented. But what do you think on this game, Dave? 1.5 and 51?
It's going to be cold. It's going to be cold. Baltimore's 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games. They're also 13-5 in the over in their last 18 games for Baltimore. It's going to be cold. And King Henry is the king.
He's a monster.
Can't take it away from him. And he's built for the cold.
I have questions about the Buffalo defense.
Oh, I have Baltimore's defense is third.
No, Buffalo's defense.
I know.
I'm sorry. I didn't know if I misspoke.
Baltimore's defense is third in opponents' EPA per play and second in success rate since week 10. Buffalo's defense is 32nd and 31st, respectively.
Yep, you nailed it on the head.
Huge problems with Buffalo's defense, especially when you have the king coming out of the backfield.
Yep.
And he's lived outdoors in Tennessee and Baltimore and
Alabama.
He's not adverse to it.
Yeah.
You know, Baltimore is the most complete team in the playoffs right now.
I think it hurts no Zay Flowers.
Sure. But a little scamper from Lamar and Isaiah Lakely and Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Let's not forget. But just for much the reason that I have faith in Saquon against the Rams, I have faith in King Henry against the Bills. I'd rather have the duo of Jalen Hurts and Saquon or Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry than Josh, we need you to do it again for us. Put it
So
all
many
on
times
your
he can
shoulders.
carry this team on his back.
There's a reason you're a dog at home.
What is your play on the game?
My play on the game is Baltimore and the over.
Over 51.
I'm going to go over 51.
Okay, interesting. So what I'll say to this, Dave, and I can't disagree with it. Look, Buffalo's defense is suspect, but they're playing very well at the right time of year. When I look at Baltimore's defense, earlier in the year they were struggling.
Yeah, absolute trash.
As soon as they
They've
moved
come together.
Kyle Hamilton to safety, it made all the difference in the world in that defense. They got the number 1 rush defense in football.
They lost him for 3 weeks at safety
Yeah.
as well.
I hate the stinking Ratbirds. And it's against every fiber of my being to say this, but my money's on Baltimore. Look, you got to go to the pay window with who got you there, and they've been dynamite second half of the season. So I got to be on Baltimore here. No play on the total. I don't like that total. It's sketchy to me.
I don't like it, but I feel Buffalo backdoors some points, but Baltimore just
Not enough to get within the 1.5 on a back door. I'm with you. All right, now the granddaddy of the weekend. It's the national championship. It's being played at Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta. It is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State opened up a big favorite. It spiked up. Now it's come back down. I've already bet this game. The line I got was at 8.5. Looking on Hard Rock Bet down here in Florida, it was 8 this afternoon or early evening. I may sprinkle some more on that. We'll see. Your thoughts on the game, Dave? And I know you got a lot of them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the top two teams I hate more than almost anything in all of football are the only two teams playing in this game. That being said, Notre Dame is 10-0 against the spread in their last 10 games, and Ohio State is 6-0 in their last 6 meetings versus Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame loves to pound the rock. Over under, I've got it at 46.5. Notre Dame's ground and pound, they are 11th nationally in rushing yards per game. They are 2nd nationally in rushing yards per attempt. 53.3% of their offense goes on the ground. Their only hope, and this is very fleeting, against an Ohio State defense that is 3rd nationally versus the one, and 1st nationally overall yards per game, is to run the rock and keep that $20 million roster and those elite receivers off the field. Study the Michigan tape, Notre Dame.
No, you have to.
How did Michigan do this? Play man coverage, light box, invite the run. Now, Tre'Davian Henderson,
Good running back.
he is fantastic, and Ohio State has a pair of them. It's all going to fall on Will Howard if he can not turn the ball over. It's all going to fall on, can he get the ball against man coverage, which they've been shredding man coverage all
Absolutely.
year.
There's nobody in the country that can cover Jeremiah Smith one-on-one.
100%. I think the biggest difference in this game is a senior defensive tackle, Tyleek Williams. He's 6'3", 327 pounds, plays in the middle of that Ohio State defense. If he can stuff that Notre Dame ground and pound, if he can be the difference maker, and then late game, Jack Sawyer can pin his ears back and get after
Take
Leonard.
off again. Yeah.
Yep.
So you are on the Buckeyes?
I am on the Buckeyes. I know everybody says you're a Michigan man, you blah blah blah. Listen,
Take the hatred out of it.
I will still anytime somebody puffs their chest, just remind them you lost to a 5-loss Michigan team
That's right.
at home. I will still point that finger. I still can wave that flag. Is what it is. Ohio State, the last 3 weeks since the Michigan game, is clearly the odds-on,
Best team in
clearly
the
the
country.
best team in the country.
There's no doubt.
And I can't say I'd love to see them lose because I'm not that kind of individual. I will say,
You want me to give you a pat on the back while you're out of here? Just to make you feel good about yourself?
No, I'd love to hump. I'd love to hump Tom Tice.
I know.
But
He's
Tom's-
going to need it, I think,
Yeah,
come
no,
Tuesday morning.
He's going to implode at home if this is a close game.
I don't see it, though.
I just don't see Notre Dame getting it together. What I was getting at is I'd love to see Notre Dame get back to true national prominence.
So you're on the Buckeyes.
I'm on the for the money. I'm taking the Buckeyes the over just because that kick in the dick they took from Michigan has propelled them
Okay.
to have to show that they are the best team in the nation. And I don't think Notre Dame got that bite against Northern Illinois week 1.
Oh, week 2 when they lost that 16-14, you thought, all right, the ship's sinking.
Yeah,
But their schedule was garbage.
is what it is. But
You got to play who's on your schedule. But
hopefully the CFP will meter this out.
I blame their GM, or their ADs, Jack Zabricki. You got to get off of this schedule in Air Force, Army, Navy every year. And maybe a couple cupcake ACC teams.
You can do that, but bring in an Oregon, bring in a Michigan.
And to that, they'll say.
Remember when we played Michigan week 2? I don't remember that was a rivalry.
To that, they'll say, well, we scheduled Florida State. It's not our fault they suck. Yeah, I get it. But bring in Miami. Miami's on the come. You know, bring it somebody. Play somebody worth of something. They one of the worst strength of schedules in college football. So we know Dave's on Ohio State, and he's on the over. I am big on Ohio State. And you hear people say, well, bet the farm, bet the house, whatever your mortgage is, bet it, blah, blah.
Go ahead and do that, and
You'll be on the street. But it is a big play for me. I see no way, in every way I cap this game, that with the injuries that Notre Dame has suffered, I mean, you look at one of the best defensive lineman, Howard Cross, last week. He's playing on one leg, and he still had a monster game against Penn State. 2 more offensive linemen out for this week. They have no skill talent, 0 at wide receiver. And I don't think Riley Leonard is that good a quarterback at throwing the ball down. Now, is he multi-talented where he can run the football? Yeah. But you ain't running the ball in Ohio State like that. You've got to keep them honest and throw the ball down the field, and I just don't think Notre Dame can.
if you can, there's only been one team that can, and that's why I said study the film.
Beat me if you can, survive if I let you, and that's it, baby.
Yeah. Play.
I'm big on. I'm not playing the total.
Play in the trenches.
I'm straight on Notre Dame. I'm on good. Blah blah blah. Freudian slip. Let's rewind that back. I am big on Ohio State. I don't think it's close. I think it's easily a double-digit victory. Probably more than 2 touchdowns. I just don't see how Ohio State. And if they lose, I'll eat crow next week. But I just don't see it happening. Look, if you look at our last 6 national championship games, every one of them has been won by the favorite. Every one of them has covered the number, and they've all been in blowout fashions. I forget what the number is. Don't quote me on this, but it was somewhere by like 115 points combined in those 6 games that the favorites have won and covered. And I don't see this year being any different. So let's let Ohio State as, what were they, the 8th seed?
8th versus 7th.
And Ohio State is going to win a national championship. And they're basically saying, screw you, we don't need the bye week. We'll go on the road to Oregon. We'll go against Oregon, and we'll go basically in a home game on the road at Texas. And here you're left with Ohio State. And I agree with you. Look, Notre Dame's coming back to prominence. Congratulations to Freeman. Done a great job there. I take nothing away from him. But this is not their year. That's just how I feel. And you look at their common strength. Notre Dame barely beat Penn State last week by a field goal. They played Indiana. They won. Ohio State crushed Indiana. Ohio State went on the road to Penn State, didn't give up an offensive touchdown, beat Penn State. I just don't see how Notre Dame does it. But we'll see Monday night. So having said that, guys, let's give a recap of our picks. Starting the pros.
Starting the pros. What do we got?
Chiefs first.
Chiefs first? Well.
Or whatever. Start whatever you want. We got no rules.
Chiefs first. I got Houston covering, and I'm taking the under. It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon's going to get the ball a lot. my prop bet with Dalton Schultz over 37.5 yards receiving.
I like that.
Chiefs, I think they just come out rusty.
Okay.
You took last week off, you took the week before that off, and got beat by Denver. I know it was your backups. I'm not saying anything. But 2 weeks off, they win. Yeah. Don't bet against them. Money line, don't bet against them. But
Lions?
for Lions gonna just
Easy double-digit win for the Lions?
should be. I hate saying it because I'm very staunch on let's just stay the course. And a point is a point, and if all we have to do is beat you by a point, Dan Campbell says we'll find a way. But I think the Commanders' young quarterback, coach, I know they got talent all over the place. But the
Do they
Lions
really,
are
though?
hungry. They do. Bobby Wagner showed it.
Look at Bobby Wagner's 87 next week.
Still balled out against Baker Mayfield.
I mean, McLaren, I like him at wide receiver. Zach Ertz can still put up some numbers.
Still play. I mean, but
Is Robinson really number one running back? I don't know.
but you're walking into the den, and I think the den is that's the other side. Is the hype's built, the target's on the back. But I've never seen, and I'm not just talking as a Lions fan, I've never seen a team so motivated and just continue to rise.
Yeah, I agree.
Over several years.
Do you like this total as well over?
Yeah, because Dan doesn't know how to take his foot off the gas.
When I look at this game, Dave, I capped it at 34-20 Lions. So I'm going to stay away. Could it get over the total? Absolutely. It's just too high for my taste. I think the Lions, again, a double-digit win here. A great story this year with a rookie quarterback. You win a playoff game. I think this is just too much, and it's a building block for Washington.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
So
But
while I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the 8.5 with Detroit, I'm big on.
Taking the under.
Nah, I'm not touching the total.
Okay.
But I'm big on. I'm going to wheel. Basically, I used to give you away. I'm going to take Kansas City, Detroit, and Philly, and I am wheeling them in money line round robin parlays. Okay. Detroit, Philly, Detroit, Kansas City, Philly. Wheel them all in money line parlays. I'm also going to wheel them all in round robin teasers. And take Kansas City minus 2.5, and Detroit minus 2.5, and Philly even. Put them all together. And I will sprinkle a little bit on Philly minus the 6, and Detroit minus the 8.5. So that's plenty of action. Your thought on the Eagles game? Eagles Rams.
Philly in the under, like I said. I don't know what prop bet there is out there for.
There's tons of them. I haven't looked at that. I got enough worrying about
I was
this.
just Saquon. I think Saquon is that difference,
I do too.
and that's where I'm going to go. If there is a prop bet that seems reasonable, I will definitely make a play on that. But otherwise, I think it's Philly. It's cold.
Yep. I got this being 27-7 Eagles.
Could be.
But we'll see.
That's
And
it.
finally, Baltimore, Buffalo. I believe you're on Baltimore.
Baltimore. King Henry's going to just.
And you like that over 51.5.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Baltimore, like just like Detroit.
Yeah.
They want to punish you. They want to show you why they're better than you, and they're not going to stop. And then you're going to get garbage time trying to catch up.
Well, maybe
So-
they flopped in the playoffs here every year with Lamar. So maybe this is a year they're out to send a message that
Right.
they're here for real. So but here the thing is, and I meant to say this earlier, but look, Baltimore Buffalo is an AFC Championship worthy game, and it's a shame that it's not. And they're playing in the divisional round. Now, if you survive in advance, you have to go on the road to Kansas City. But that's what you get when you get home field advantage. So, I can't knock the Chiefs for that.
Keep in mind, last year, Baltimore rushed the ball 10 times.
I know. That just still blows my mind.
And
but
last week, Baltimore rushed
50
21 times.
They ran the
And
ball
by
50 times.
By the half.
Oh, yeah.
By the half, they more than doubled what they rushed in the AFC Championship
Yeah.
game last year.
They ran the ball 50 times last week for like 298 yards, somewhere in that range. So I'm on Baltimore as well. Not touching the total. Dave's on the over. Finally, Monday night, national championship. I think we gave you as many good stats as we could. It's Buckeyes or bust.
It is Buckeyes or bust. I mean, if you got a Holy Ghost in your corner, I'm not discounting Notre Dame, but
Well, take a trip by the Golden Dome and say a prayer if you're on Notre Dame, but I don't see any way they hang with them.
and to every one of you Ohio State fans that want to tell me nothing matters, your season's over, we still beat you, and we beat Alabama for all
Yep.
you SEC haters.
There you go.
Our season may be over, but you guys left with losses.
So we're both on the Buckeyes here. It should be a good game. I hope it's a good game because the last 6 national championships, as I told you earlier, have all
Over
sucked.
by halftime.
What was the one? Was it TCU got blown out like 62-7 or 63-7 one year?
Oh, yeah, that was 2 years ago after they beat Michigan.
Yeah. I mean, it just games like that. I was like, geez.
Yeah, when Georgia just stomped it. I was like, oh, this is entertaining for 8.5 minutes. Now it's done.
Yeah, that's it. Shut it off. Let's see if I won or not in the morning or wake up in the middle of the night.
Why
Oh,
isn't my pizza here? I'm tired.
Pretty much. Guys, we only got 5 games this weekend, but I think we brought you a lot of good info, a lot of good coaching talk, and I can't wait till we get into free agency and the draft, and we'll still bring you shows after the season's over. But having said that, let's make some money this weekend. Cash those tickets, don't trash them. And we will see you next week, as always, from the Seabreeze Lounge. And if we had 5 games this week, we're down to 2 next week. It's sad the season's coming to an end, but that's okay. We still got football left for now. Guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, pound those like buttons, hit comment, whatever. Help us grow our channel so we continue to bring you the best information possible. For the man, Super Dave Kreitz,
Does exist.
I am the magnificent one, Sean Mayall. We'll see you next week. Florida Gambling Boys on YouTube. It's the Football Frenzy Show. Enjoy the playoffs. Enjoy the national championship. We'll see you next week, guys. Everybody have a great weekend.